Today we are studying Surah Naba, ayahs 37 to 40, the last four ayahs, and that would complete Surah Naba, inshallah. So let's start with ayah number 37. In ayah number 37, Allah Ta'ala says, Rabbis samawati wal ardi wa ma baynahum ar-Rahmani la yamlikuna minhu khitaba. So the translation of this ayah would be, Rabbis samawati wal ardi, the sustainer of the heavens and the earth, وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا الرَّحْمَنِ, and all that is in between them, the most gracious, لَا يَمْلِكُونَ مِنْهُ خِطَابًا, none shall have it in their power to argue with him, which is an interesting concept, why you can't argue with God and how you're going to talk to him. Let's divide this ayah into four parts. So the first part is Rabbis samawati wal ardi, the sustainer of the heavens and the earth. And we've talked about that before, that Rabb is not just a Lord, he's a creator master. So he creates and then he sustains whatever he creates. So that's the first part. The second part of the ayah, it says, Wama bainahuma, and all that is between them. So all that is between the heavens and earth. And please note here that the word earth, the English word earth, comes from the Arabic word al-ard, which was very first time mentioned in the Quran. And it was the very first reference to the planet as one entity. Next part is very simple, ar-Rahmani. And Ar-Rahman means the most gracious. So we're talking about a sustainer, creator Lord, who is also the most gracious. Now the last part of this ayah, which is very interesting, is La yamlikuna minhu khitaba. None shall have the power to argue with him. Now khitaba means to raise your voice. So on the day of judgment, when people are being held accountable, they would not be able to argue against what is being told, because everything would be brought with evidence. In this world, you can hire a lawyer and you can lie and you can cheat and you can misguide a jury, but the day of judgment is unlike that. On that day, you cannot argue, you can't raise your voice, because everything will be presented with facts. Next ayah, يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة الصفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن الله الرحمن وقال صوابا. So on that day, on the day when Gabriel, and all the angels will stand up in ranks, none will speak except the one to whom the most gracious have given permission, and everyone will say only what is right and true. So this ayah divided into three parts. First part is Yawma yaqumu ruhu wal malaikatu safa. So on the day when Gabriel and all the angels will stand up in ranks. Safa means ranks, Yawma means the day, Yakum is standing up, Ruh is Gabriel, archangel, and Malaika are angels. Now, a very interesting fact, in the Quran, whenever we hear about the angels and the archangel Gabriel, there are two ways that Allah describes them. If they are moving from heaven to earth, is a movement, then the term angels is used first and Gabriel later. So it is like Tanazzalul Malaikatu Waruh in Surah Al-Qadr. So angels come first, then comes Gabriel. Why? Because they move like an army. And whenever the army, you have the soldiers in the forefront and the general is controlling them and guiding them from behind. So it's perfection. Whenever the movement of angels is there, the angels are mentioned first, Gabriel later. But when they are stationary, standing, then Gabriel is mentioned first. Like in this ayah, Yuma Yakumur Ruhu wal Malaika, and angels are mentioned later. Because when they are standing in front of Allah, like an army standing in front of a king, then the general is always at the front and the soldiers are behind. And that's the perfection of the Quran. You do not see any confusion or difference when we talk about that. Next part, Allah Ta'ala says, لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن. That's the second part of the ayah. None will speak except the one to whom the most gracious have given permission. So everyone will speak on their turn. Nobody is going to overtake someone else. No one will talk over the other person. Everyone will get a turn to present their case. And the last part, very important. وَقَالَ صَوَابًا. And what would they speak? In this world, we make excuses for the crimes we commit and the wrongs we do. But then, on the day of judgment, everyone will say only what is right. وَقَالَ, and they will say only sawaba, what is right. Now, we have been told three important things about the day of judgment. None shall have the power to argue with Allah. Only those given permission by Allah would speak at their turn, and everyone will tell the truth, no lies or excuses. So people won't be able to say, I did this for a good cause, but the outcome was bad. No, you will say, I did it because I intended to do it bad. And then Allah describes the day. He says, ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمُ الْحَقِّ فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ مَآبًا. And this ayah is giving the spirit of Islam. I explain it to you in two parts. But let's first see the whole ayah's translation. That will be the day of ultimate truth. Whoever wills, then let him take the path that leads towards his sustainer. Let him who desires seek a way back to his Lord, in other words. And I'll tell you what the real spirit of Islam is in this ayah. ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمُ الْحَقِّ is the first part. That will be the day of ultimate truth. Zalika means that will be. Al-Yawm is the day, and Al-Haq is the ultimate truth. So ultimate truth comes out. You speak the truth, you are told the truth, and the truth is laid bare. Next part, very important. Pay attention. فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ مَآبًا. And this is the interesting part. God is not saying this is the truth, this is a fact, come and follow it. No, 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 no. Whoever wills, then let him take the path that leads towards his sustainer. Let him who desires seek a way back to his Lord. And this is the gist of Islamic teaching, which differentiates from other religions. There is no compulsion in religion. The facts are there. You make an informed choice. You make an evidence-based decision, and you live with the consequences of your choice and your decisions. Next ayah, the last ayah. And this again would be in three parts. Inna anzarnakum azaban qariba yawma yanzuru al-mar'u ma qaddamat yadahu wa yaqulu al-kafiru ya laytani kuntu turaba. The meaning of the ayah, we'll do the whole meaning first and then part by part. So the meaning of the whole ayah is, verily, we have warned you of an imminent punishment on the day when every person will see the consequences of what their hands have done. And the disbelievers will say, I wish I were dust. Why would they say that? We'll come to it in a minute. Let's go part by part. We'll divide the ayah into three parts. First ayah. Inna anzarnakum azaban qariba. Verily, we have warned you of an imminent punishment. Inna is verily, anzarnakum, we have warned you. Azaban is punishment, qariba is imminent. So the facts have been laid bare, evidence has been provided, the choice is with you. Now, what is going to happen on that day? So the second part of the ayah describes that. يَوْمَ يَنْظُرُ الْمَرْءُ مَا قَدَّمَتْ يَدَاهُ. That is the day. Yawma is the day. Yanzur al-mar'u, every person will see. Yanzur is to see. Al-mar'u is every person. Ma qaddamat yadahu, what their hands have done or sent ahead and sent forward. Literally, qaddamat is to forward, yadahu is hand. So what your hands have sent forward, what you have sent to the hereafter as your record and deeds. And then the last part, the very interesting part, and it's got a whole story behind it. وَيَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ تُرَابًا. And the disbelievers, those who have denied the truth, they would say, oh, woe is me, I wish I were dust. Why would they say they were dust? And there is an interesting hadith and a story which is told by one of the companions of the Prophet. It is narrated by him and he heard it from the Prophet, and I'll tell you about it. Why would they say they wish they were dust? Abdullah ibn Umar, one of the companions, says, on the day of judgment, the entire earth will become a plain surface when all human beings, jinn, which is invisible creatures, domesticated animals, and wild animals would be gathered. So imagine the whole earth is plain, no mountains, no oceans. Every creature that has ever been created, all animals, from dinosaurs up to the last animal ever born, domesticated and wild animals, T-Rexes, every creature, including human beings, and all the invisible creatures would be present there. And then Abdullah bin says, if excuse me, if one animal has wronged another animal in the world, it will be given the opportunity to take its revenge. This is a big difference from other religions in Islam. Not only humans, but each and every living creature is held responsible. And he goes ahead to say, if a goat with horns had wronged a goat without horns, it will be granted the opportunity to take its revenge. Now, you might have heard people say, why is there so much injustice in the world if there is a God? And this is the answer, that on the day of judgment, even within the same species and the same kind of animal, the same family of animals, if one has wronged another, they would face the consequences. But there is a difference between the judgment for them and the judgment for us. Our judgment is a little bit different. When they have been avenged and justice has prevailed, Abdullah ibn Umar says, the Prophet said, when this phase is over, all animals will be commanded to become dust. So dust to dust, they go back to what they were created from. However, the human beings, when their judgment starts, their punishment is not immediate punishment. The human beings are going to be judged and sent to prison, which is hell, or they would be rewarded in heaven, and that is going to be for eternity. And that is the reason why, once the humans have seen what has happened to the animals, when they come across their own judgment, they will wish they would have been punished immediately, and it would all have ended there, and they would have gone back to dust. وَيَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ Ya laytani kuntu turaba. And the disbelievers will say, I wish I were dust. I wish the punishment was immediate and I didn't have to suffer any longer. With this, we complete Surah An-Naba, the 78th Surah. Inshallah, I look forward to studying more of the Quran with you. The references used for this study session, they go back from the very original ones from Al-Tabari from the 9th century, Al-Kashaf by Zamakhshari, Tafsir Al-Kabir, Al-Qurtubi. Then the Middle Age ones, where is Tafsir Ibn Kathir, Ruh al-Ma'ani by Muhammad al-Lusi, and then Mahmoud Pickthall's translation of the Quran. More recent one, Tahim al-Quran by Maududi. Muhammad Asad, very good translation of the Quran. You might not agree with the tafsir, but a very good translation. And then the more recent ones, like the one from Al-Azhar University and some of the Muslim Pakistani scholars. The dictionaries consulted, two of the main dictionaries are consulted for this study: Lisan al-Arab, which is from the 13th century, and Taj al-Arus min Jawahir al-Kamus, which is more recent, 18th century-ish. Not very recent, but still recent enough. Thank you very much for your time. Inshallah, I hope you get reward and benefit from this study of the Quran. Special thanks to the ones who made this tafsir possible, who advised me to start the tafsir. May Allah give a lot of reward. And a special thanks to my dear friend Usman Ayub for his advice and guidance in consulting the tafsir. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.